I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Monday, July the 13th, 2015. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu restated Israel's commitment to preventing Iran from obtaining nuclear weapons, even if Israel cannot prevent the signing of a deal between world powers with Iran. Noting the recent hateful messages expressed in the streets of Tehran against Israel and against the U.S., the Prime Minister said even if after these unequivocal calls to destroy those who negotiate with them, they continue with concession. It seems, he said, like some will sign the deal at any cost, and there is neither a will nor a way to avoid this bad agreement. He told a faction meeting of the Likud today that our commitment to prevent Iran from acquiring nukes is in force today more than ever, and I call on anyone who holds the security of Israel dear to stand behind this commitment. Israeli Defense Minister Moshe Ya'alon continued to warn of an impending, quote, bad deal as well. He told a Knesset Foreign Affairs and Defense Committee meeting today that even if there are some last-minute improvements, the agreement as we understand it is bad, allowing Iran to legitimately be a nuclear threshold state with all that implies. Talks in Vienna between Iran and the P5+1 to reach a deal had been extended through today. After continued criticism over offensive comments made last week by Israel's Minister of Religious Affairs against Reform Jews, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu announced a framework for dialogue between members of the Israeli government and leaders of non-Orthodox Jewish denominations. These roundtable discussions will be chaired by Cabinet Secretary Avichai Mandelblit and Jewish Agency Chairman Natan Sharansky. If you recall, Israeli Minister David Azulai last week called Reform Jews, among other things, Jews who had lost their way and not real Jews. His comments brought harsh criticism from the Prime Minister himself and from the American Jewish community. Sharansky called Azulai's comments terrible and irresponsible, saying it is clear that there are parts of the new government that are not ready to have a normal and welcoming relationship with the non-Orthodox streams. But we do need to help facilitate the problems that these movements have in Israel. The roundtable talks are intended to provide that help, enabling leaders of the non-Orthodox movements to lobby for their interests and help advance projects. Israel's President Reuven Rivlin is mourning the death of his older sister. Esther Eti Herling Binyamin passed away today at the age of 84. Herling Binyamin was a fighter in the Irgun and a lifelong resident of Jerusalem. The president said she was a mentor to him. She will be laid to rest on the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem next to the president's parents and brother. She is survived by 3 children and many grandchildren. Britain's new ambassador to Israel has taken residence at his new accommodations. David Quarry officially took up his new post in Tel Aviv today, succeeding Matthew Gould, the UK's ambassador to Israel for the last 5 years. Quarry said it was a great privilege to be the new ambassador from the UK to Israel, and that he wishes to enhance the partnership between the two countries, in particular in the fields of trade, science and technology, as well as, quote, cooperation against shared security threats and work for progress towards peace. Rabbi Capers Fournier was nominated by the International Israelite Board of Rabbis as, quote, the first black chief rabbi of the 21st century. Fournier, who is a cousin of First Lady Michelle Obama, was unanimously nominated to fill the leadership position of the worldwide community of black Jews, which has been vacant since 1999. The Israelite board said Fournier's goal would be to build stronger ties with the Ethiopian Jewish community. Fournier currently leads Beth Shalom B'nai Zaken Ethiopian Hebrew congregation in Chicago and is the only black rabbi on the Chicago Board of Rabbis. He's expected to assume the new leadership role this fall. ADL National Director Abe Foxman was presented with the Archdiocese of Krakow's Pope John Paul II Medal of Honor on Friday in recognition of his lifetime of work in advancing relations between the Jewish people and the Catholic Church in Poland and at the Vatican. Father Miroslav Kroll presented the award to Foxman on behalf of the Archbishop of Krakow, Cardinal Stanislav Dziwisz, telling Foxman His Eminence is very grateful for what you have done for the Jewish people, for the Polish people, for his patron, and for Catholic-Jewish relations. And looking now at our programming for tonight, Monday, July the 13th. Coming up at 7:30, former Israeli ambassador and former Israeli Defense Minister Moshe Aaron speaks to Israeli English-speaking radio station Voice of Israel. Then at 8, Jewish ball players are in the spotlight. And at 9 on L'chaim, with Major League Baseball celebrating its annual All-Star Game in Cincinnati, Mark Golub sits with the voice of the New York Yankees, John Sterling, who talks about his love of sports and how he's become one of the most well-known and beloved play-by-play announcers in America today. And at 10 tonight, former U.S. Secretary of State Madeleine Albright speaks at the 92nd Street Y. And coming up right after this newscast tonight, president of the Ruderman Family Foundation that seeks to build bridges between Israelis and American Jewry, Jay Ruderman, responds to Religious Affairs Minister David Azoulai's offensive statements about Reform Jews on tonight's In the News with Mark S. Golub. And that's the JBS News Update for Monday, July the 13th, 2015. I'm Teisha Bader.